So I was playing at the gym the other day and I got this huge urge to do an Aoji Luna tutorial. This is actually a move that's very near and dear to my heart because it was one of the first floreos that I was able to add to the Hoda that was more intermediate, almost advanced. And it's a move that you may also hear out there being called the Gumbi or also as the Au Esquisito. And I use it a lot in the Hoda, and on top of that I've actually been teaching a few friends how to do this move, and I find that they're responding very well to it, and I have a bit of an original take to it, so I figured I'd share it with more people, see if it helps you out. So with that, let's get started. And the way that this move works, it starts from the Au. So this is one of the fundamentals that you really need to get down, just in general for capoeira, but specifically for this move. So you want to make sure that you're adding strength to the kick so that you have speed to it. You also want to have control with it, and then little by little start getting used to pushing your feet to the back. So basically what you want to do is you want to stick your chest out forward and push your hips back as well as your feet, and then little by little start building on top of that. Then the other thing that you want to do is you want to start building a little bit of a distance between the plane that your feet are in and then your hands are in. So you want to have your hands in a plane that's ahead of your feet, and you'll see that your feet will naturally start sort of falling towards the back when you do this. And make sure that you got this down really strongly. Again, I can't stress this enough, without learning this you won't be able to get this move down. And so once you get that down, then there's another drill that I really like, and it's built to teach you how to again build that distance between the plane that your feet are in and the plane that your hands are in. And the drill starts with a crouched down position, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna put your hands on a plane that's ahead of your feet, but in front of your feet. And oh, but wait, I need to teach you another skill in order to get this thing down. In case that you don't know this just yet, this is called a ponchi. It means bridge, and it starts from a position where you're laying down face up. You put your hands behind your shoulders, and then you push up. And this is going to put a little bit of stress on your shoulder joints, so just be careful with it, but you definitely want to build it. And then one way to build that flexibility and strength on that position is to do the punchy and then straighten out your legs slightly till you feel a bit of a stretch on your shoulders. With it, I used to do push-ups and different things. And now we can go on. So as I was saying, the way that I sort of rationalized what the Awujiko Luna was is that it's basically an AU where your feet are in one plane, your hands are in another. And so the closest thing that would help me to kind of get used to that motion and get a feel for it was by doing punchy drills. And as I was saying, you want to go ahead and put your feet in a crouch down position, your hands put them in front of you, and then start doing a punchy. And as you do that, remember that you're going to twist your wrist sort of to the extreme opposite, so that way you can go ahead and do the punchy and slowly get used to it. At the beginning I was really bad at this. It took me some time to get comfortable with it. But what you want to do is you want to do this drill till you are able to sort of add a little bit of speed to it, and it really helps you get a feel for how your body feels while it's upside down and bent over in that awkward Aujikoluna position. I found that when I first used to do this, and still to this day, sometimes when I get upside down, my bars get crossed, I don't know what to do, and everything just goes blank. So I figured I would compensate by building some muscle memory and getting my body in that awkward position without having to do that sort of scary leap of faith. So then what I would do is to add a little bit of a hop into it. And I will tell you, you're probably gonna fall the first time that you do this, but the height is not that bad. You're basically gonna land on your back, and it's okay. Little by little, then I just started doing the hops. Once I got comfortable with that, then I started adding a little bit more of a hop, but not too much, because the good thing about the Auji Coluna is that the closer your feet are to the ground, the better it looks. It sort of shows more control, more flexibility, and it looks really nice. And so just take your time. This is something that to me it took me actually a few months, but it was definitely worth it. And now I want to show you a few ways to get into it. This is basically the Awich Coluna going to it from a fake Keshara movement, and basically bring your foot to the back as you do the Kashada movement. You can also do it from a Melo de Frente as well. And as you can see, for example, when I do this from a Melo de Frente, if you throw that kick one way and then you do the AU the other way, it sort of helps to work as an esquiva, because if there's a kick coming your way, if you were doing an AU, you would hit it. But when you do AU esquisito or the AU de columna, you're actually going to be able to evade it because your feet are not that high. This is another one that I really like. It's basically from Mealogi Compasso that goes into Negativa, and then you weave your hand through to do the AU de columna. It took me some time to get this one, and that's where the punchy drill came handy, because I would do the punchy drill from that position to sort of get my body used to that. And so again, you go ahead and weave your hand through and then do the jump. And as you can see, that's not my strongest side, but I'm still learning. I'm forcing myself to do it both ways. And I find that on this one, speed is my friend. So just keep on going, be persistent with it. It's a lot of fun. So I'm gonna keep on showing you some variations that you can add this move into and sort of get out of as well. This is for my fake Melogi Compasso. And just have fun with it. Just take your time. One of the things that I find it's almost therapeutic and a lot of fun is I basically go into the gym and I'll start focusing on one move, and I'll try to think of ways of getting in and out of it so that I can go ahead and add the combinations in the and have fun. And that's pretty much it. This is the AU de columna. Some people call it the Gumbi, other people call it the AU esquisito, and hopefully I'll see you guys getting this done more in the Joda.
Hello my fellow gamers, my name is Peter and welcome to my first basic battle tutorial. In this video I'll be talking about unit orders, unit movement, attacking with units, creating armies, groups and moving them in formation. For this I am going to use a custom battle between Rome and Carthage. I am going to set up both teams to have appropriate number of cavalry, range units and melee units. My Roman general is going to be a commander, while Carthage is going to have a warrior for its general. I'll be using a full stack of units just so you can get a better feel for how an army is commanded. Okay, so let's start. While you're in your deployment zone, it is important to think about how your army is going to fight. For example, I usually like to take different kinds of cavalry, place them in a single group and call it, for example, group 3. Then take close to the same amount and same quality of cavalry, call them group number 4 and place them on my right flank. So cavalry number 3 is on my left flank, cavalry number 4 is on my right flank. Now, in order for these units to stay in this formation, you have to use Control plus G. You will notice a little lock showing up next to the number 4. That means that now this formation is locked, and whenever they move, they are going to move in that formation. I'm going to do the same thing for the group 3. Now, when it comes to range units, you have to know that these units, these Velites units, have a medium range. They are throwing javelins, so they cannot throw as far as a bow unit can fire an arrow. By holding the space key, you can see this red line that is the farthest belongs to this auxiliary Syrian archers, while these two lines that are more closer belong to the Velites. Because of that, the Velites are going to go in front, while the archers are going to go behind them. Now, once they are grouped in group 5 and that group is locked by using Ctrl G, you can hold the space key and again see what is their range. As you can see, they do not really overlap as much because the archers have a longer range. So what you can do is take the archer unit and pull it back a little bit more. Now, if you look at it, you can see that the archer unit and the velites are going to shoot at the enemy about the same time. This is important because once you engage the enemy, he's going to react to what you're doing. So if only one of your units is attacking, but he is now going to engage, that means you didn't have enough time for your velites to shoot as well. This way, all of your units are going to shoot at the same time, and once the engagement starts, they are all going to be shooting. You're not going to be waiting for velites to go into range. Now let's talk about infantry. It is important to take some units that have spears because they're much better at fighting cavalry. While it is also very important to have sword units because they are your core. They're going to be fighting the enemy sword units and, if necessary, enemy spear units. Now, when you're setting up your formation of infantry, it is always a good idea to mix them up. For example, I have 2 eagle cohorts and 2 evocati cohorts. You don't want them to be standing right next to each other because they have different stats than these other units, and it is important to mix them so you have a unit on each flank that can attack some enemy unit that you might want to attack with a different unit. So I'm going to take this evocati cohort, move it to the left, take an eagle cohort, move it to the right. Now I have a better mix of infantry units on my front line.
At your service.
I'm going to group them as one. Now, if you want to move your units while they're grouped and not locked, if you hold the right mouse button, you're going to have to stretch them out again. But if you use Ctrl G and lock this group, next time you click, you're going to have the same formation set up already, and you just have to let go and set them to move. When it comes to spearmen, it is as important to have spearmen in the front as it is to have them on your flanks. In the front, you need them in order to be able to protect your range units from enemy cavalry if they charge them from the front, while it is important to have them on the flanks if the enemy cavalry overruns your cavalry on your flanks and comes up to your flanks or behind you. So it is a good idea to set up your spear units, some of them in the middle, some of them on the flanks. You can either attach those units to group 1 or make a specific group, let's say group 2, just for them. It is a better idea, however, to keep them in the first group, because then they're going to be walking together and you are not going to end up in a situation where you forgot to move your spearmen up front and they stay behind and not be able to combat the enemy cavalry and the enemy cavalry overwhelms you. Now, another way to move these units now that they are grouped and locked is using the arrow keys on your keyboard. You can move them back, forward, left, right, and if you hold the control key, you can even change their orientation to the left or right. Now, the last thing you have left to do is to take your general and place him in the middle of your units because you want his area of effect to cover as many units and provide them with its morale boost. You can choose to incorporate him in group 1 or you can choose to set him up as a separate group, let's say 7. One thing that you should remember is that if your general is mounted, his walk speed is going to be faster than the infantry and range units. This would be your most basic approach to deploying your army. Range units in the front, infantry in the middle, spearmen in the middle and on the flanks, cavalry on the flanks. There are many different army setups and many different ways of deploying those armies. This is just your basic setup based on an army that is full of all sorts of different units and they all have their uses. Now let's start the battle. Now, how you can move your units in formation. Since we have locked group 1 with this little lock here by using Ctrl G, if I click on any of those units and hold the left mouse button, I'm going to get this little compass. With this, I can move my units in this formation forward and choose wherever I wish for them to be. If I hold the Control key, I can even rotate this formation to the left or right. You'll also notice that this arrow will be changed to 2 arrows if I let go of Control. If I hold Control, there is only 1 arrow. What this means is that if you let go when there are 2 arrows, these units are going to be running. If you hold the control key and there is only 1 arrow and you let go, they're gonna be walking. You can use the same way to move this group of 5, which holds your range units, by holding the left mouse button key on these units
Missiles ready and
and then
waiting.
just pulling forward.
Yes,
As you can see,
Commander.
these guys are going to run because they didn't hold the control key. In case this compass does not show up, just deselect the unit, click on some other group, go back to that group,
Missile
and
infantry
wait for
ready.
this little tooltip to show up, then hold the left mouse button and move it. As you can see, first try I didn't get it, second try I got it. So it's not 100% that you're going to get it, but just give it a shot. Now the trick is you don't really have to use it, because once you have locked these units in formation, you can use the right mouse button, just hold it and place your units wherever you want them to go. If you don't want them to run, you have to hold the shift key and let go. That way they're going to walk in formation to that point. When it comes to range units, they have this ability called Fire at Will, which means they are going to pick and choose their enemy and shoot them. Now, in this game, there seems to be a little glitch, because in previous games, even if Fire at Will is toggled on, you can still choose a unit and it will override what unit it should be attacking. But here, even if you choose a unit and Fire at Will is on, the unit may by itself choose another target. So if you want full manual control, you have to toggle this off and choose which unit should they attack by yourself.
Fire. Enjoy
When it comes to the
yourselves.
skirmish mode, this is going to allow your units to run away from melee units. If any melee unit is coming closer to your units, they're going to move back to a safe distance and then continue firing. If you're going to put your units right behind your main battle line, you should toggle this off, because they are going to be moving even though there is no need. So even though you have units in front of your range units, but if your units come into contact with enemy units and they are close enough to range units, if this is toggled on, they're going to move back even though there is no reason to be afraid, because you have a line of units in between your range units and the enemy units. You can also use the arrow
Yours
keys
to command.
to move your unit or your whole army
guards.
in formation. You can hold the control key
Orders understood.
and even
In
change
the name of Rome.
the orientation of this army, as you can see here.
Velites.
This way you can move your army step by step and you don't even have to use your mouse. Now what you should remember is that
Velites.
once you're close enough to your enemy and once you're supposed to engage him, never use a group to attack a single unit. This is because all these units are going to get tangled into each other trying to go after the same unit, because as you can see these lines, while they're in a group, they're going to move together and they're going to engage once they get into range, as they are a range unit. But if you take a melee unit and click, you can see that since they are locked in a group, they have to move inside that group, so they cannot all go towards the enemy unit that you have chosen. But once you hold the Control G and
Return to your
unlock
positions.
that formation and right click on the enemy unit, you can see that all the units are going to converge directly onto that unit. That is why I said never do that in a battle. You have to manually choose a target for each of your melee units to attack,
Your orders.
because this way you're going to avoid big melee blobs and they're not going to accomplish anything,
Ready and waiting.
because attacking with all your units to single enemy units does not achieve anything beyond the first unit that reaches it will engage in combat, while all the other units are just going to be attacking
Break the lines.
behind and not being able to fight it.
Spears ready. Roma in
That is
recto.
called blobbing. That is something you always wish to avoid.
Missile infantry. Orders. Ready and waiting.
As you saw, my unit was moving until it got into range, and even though I told them to attack this unit, they are using their Fire at Will to attack this unit. Like I said, that is why before you engage, you have to unlock your
Return to
formation
positions.
and use
Velites.
every unit
Missiles ready
attack
and waiting.
for every enemy unit. You do not wish to attack as a group. Same goes for cavalry units. You can run them in groups, but you should never attack in groups. As you can see, while it's locked, it's again giving them just the order to move. Once you unlock the group and attack, they're all going to attack into a single enemy unit. This is not what you want. You want one of these units to go behind, one of them to go in the front, and one of them to go on the other side. This way you can encircle the enemy from all sides and attack him from multiple directions, inflicting more than just the front attack. You can inflict morale penalties in the back and in the flank. You shouldn't forget, like I just did, to bring your general up once the melee starts. That is why you may want to keep him in your group 1 with your infantry or with your range units so that he is always close by and you do not forget to bring him. And as you can see over here, I have 1 versus 1, 1 versus 1. Now this cavalry unit is free to either engage his range units or engage into the back of the rest of his units. Now as they hit, they're going to inflict massive morale damage. As you can see, this unit is now going to withdraw. Once you have broken an enemy's flank, you can take your units either in a flank attack, or you can order them to move and then use them as a back attack. This is called hammer and anvil, by using a cavalry unit as a hammer while your infantry units are the anvil. This is going to inflict the maximum amount of morale penalties and make the enemy rout. I believe that this is enough information for one basic battle tutorial video. Thank you for watching and please stay tuned for more.